Welcome to Sick Flicks, where we take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to examine the greatest gross-out flicks of all time. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're looking at director Lucio Fulci's controversial classic, New York Ripper. Released in 1982, New York Ripper marked Fulci's return to giallo cinema after an extended foray into the realm of the supernatural. And yet, while Italy's godfather of gore had made gialli in the past, nothing had prepared audiences for this all-out assault on good taste. Filled with sex, violence, and a killer who taunts the police with a Donald Duck voice, this is one of Fulci's most unforgettable features. But does it deliver the gory goods? We'll find out when we get to the gore card later. But for now, let's break down the plot. The film opens in New York City, where some dude is walking his dog. Let me just say, this game of fetch gets real weird real fast. There's an obligatory Fulci eye zoom, followed by a zoom on the severed hand the dog brought back. Apparently, all of the budget went to gore effects, so they couldn't afford any capital letters for the credits. This is Detective Fred Williams, the cynical, world-weary detective straight out of Central Casting. He's investigating a missing persons case, although judging by his level of interest here, investigating might be overselling it. The old lady does offer up one interesting clue, though. The caller sounded like a duck.
Strangest voice I ever heard. Sort of like a duck.
Remember that, because Sherlock Holmes here sure won't.
Quack, quack, quack. Just like that.
After some more gum flapping, Williams eventually sends this chatty Cathy on her way.
Goodbye, Mrs. Weisberger.
I said good day, madam. In what looks like a totally unrelated movie, this woman is out for a bike ride when she has a run-in with this charmer.
You women should stay home where you belong. You're a menace to the public. And you've got the brains of a chicken.
What if it's the brains of that chicken that can play tic-tac-toe?
And you're an asshole. Ciao.
She has a point. He is indeed an asshole. Our biker lady then gets on the ferry, where she decides to get a little revenge against the guy in the VW. Her impromptu graffiti session is cut short when she's caught by an unseen person. She invites him into the car for a chat. What the hell? This isn't even her car. And then things get weird when he starts berating her with a Donald Duck voice.
Stupid. Is that all you can think of?
Then shit gets even weirder when he guts her with his switchblade. From there, we cut to the coroner, who's autopsying the body of the woman from the ferry. If you weren't yet convinced that New York Ripper hates women, this line should help you reach that conclusion.
He used a blade. He stuck it up her joy trail and slit her wide open.
The coroner offers a critique on the kill.
He could have done a slightly better job if he'd had more time. But overall, it was good, efficient butchery.
Well, at least there's that. I'd have hated for her to be gutted by someone with poor, inefficient butchery skills. The coroner does offer us some useful information. I mean, beyond giving us a new euphemism for vagina. It looks like we've got a left-handed serial killer running amok.
A lefty, with a yen for slashing up young ladies.
World-weary cop, strange serial killer, yep, looks like we've got ourselves a movie. Don't look now, but we've also got a Lucio Fulci cameo. Fulci's playing the chief, and he wants a little private time with Williams. The chief wants Williams to bury the serial killer angle. Ah, bureaucracy at work. Williams tells the chief he has no idea how to proceed, so he goes to meet a shrink and get a serial killer profile.
Maybe I'll go to a shrink and get a psychological profile on this nut. It may narrow the field a bit, and I may get a clue.
But before he can go, Fred learns he missed a call from a guy who sounds like a duck.
Said he called back. Sounded just like a duck.
Like a duck? Never heard that before.
Well, about 5 minutes ago, Sherlock.
Strangest voice I ever heard. Sort of like a duck.
Williams then heads to meet up with Dr. Davis. Davis shares a bit about his theory of the crime and his diet.
How did you guess that?
I eat oodles of carrots.
He also has a plan for catching the killer.
You let me have all the data, and we wait for him to butcher another girl.
I'm gonna be honest, this plan sounds terrible for the next victim. From there, we get a walking tour of 42nd Street before it got all Disneyfied. Hey, is that Eric Estrada? Ponch, what are you doing in the porn district? And what happened to your fingers? Wannabe Eric Estrada decides to check out a live sex show, and there's no way I can show you that. Maybe he's undercover here to bust a porn ring. Or maybe he's just here to get his rocks off. New York Ripper is easily Fulci's most sleazy movie. It's violent, gory, and full of sex. It's both easy to see why so many people hate and love it. It's absolutely gleeful in its seedy mean-spiritedness. The movie expects us to believe this lady named Jane is hanging out watching the onstage action, and then she pulls out her tape recorder. Ah yeah, the days before cell phone cameras, when you had to make audio recordings of your smut. Hey, lady, Pee Wee Herman got arrested for that shit. Then, thankfully, the sex ends. I like that the live sex performers also get an ovation at the end of the act. Who said New Yorkers were all rude assholes? After our performance, our sex worker, played by Cannibal Ferox's Zora Karova, heads backstage. She's stuck in the dark, damn light bulb thieves, and then runs into our killer, who stabs her in the fun trail with a broken liquor bottle while quacking like a pissed off Donald Duck. After that, we learn Detective Williams likes to sleep with hookers, and Donald Duck rings him up while he's chilling with his lady.
I gotta tell you something. It happened again. It happened again tonight.
Look, it's hilarious to hear some dude quacking while confessing to murders and taunting Williams about sleeping with hookers. The quacking thing is integral to the plot of New York Ripper, or at least as integral as anything else anyway. But it often puts people off the movie. It's so bizarre that it really feels more like a joke than anything.
Do you ever tell anybody I come here?
What?
Oh, don't be a dumb bitch. You know what I mean.
Jesus, even the hero of this movie hates women. The next day, Jane's husband reviews her tapes. That's the hottest non-contextual moaning ever. Jeez, he's got a whole drawer of audio smut. Williams then gets his psychological profile courtesy of Dr. Davis.
1. He's quite good at concealing his real personality, which means total self-control. 2. He wants to provoke you. And 3. Our man, though a voyeur, a peeper, likes to be noticed. Neurotic and egotistical.
We're paying you for this shit? A kid in first-year psych could have come up with this profile.
And you can be quite sure that we're up against a very superior mind.
Are we supposed to believe the psychologist is our killer? I smell a red herring. He's clearly not a superior mind after listening to that profile either. After that, we're back to following Jane, who gets some hot toe action under the table. Look, I told you this movie was sleazy. Hope that dude doesn't have athlete's foot. This also seems like a good time to remind everyone that no means no. This scene goes on for forever. Honestly, all these close-ups of the mouths are as gross as the toe action. Then, on the subway, we meet another woman. Who the hell is this? She's accosted by Eric Estrada. I'll give Fulci this. He really did a great job of capturing the vibe of early 80s New York City, a grimy place where danger seemingly lurked around every corner. After she escapes the subway car, our random lady runs through the empty station in a scene that's eerily reminiscent of one in William Lustig's Maniac. She looks like she's about to get away, but then runs into our killer, who cuts her leg, but doesn't manage to kill her. She flees to an empty theater where she's attacked again, then hobbles away and gets slashed repeatedly, including this gruesome throat cut. But as poet Biggie Smalls once said, it was all a dream. Well, at least the part after the subway attack anyway. She's just in the hospital. Wait a minute, this dude coming in looks just like the guy in her dream. This movie couldn't be giving away the killer's identity already, could it?
Hello, darling.
Oh, wait, she knows him. It's her boyfriend, Peter. I guess these people are going to be important to the story. Nice that we waited to get halfway through the movie before introducing them.
And then you came in and killed me. Yes, you were the murderer, darling.
Well, yeah, he's totally the killer. The cops, meanwhile, are convinced Eric Estrada is the killer. Clearly, they're not familiar with how these films work. That dude is way too obvious. Don't look now, but two of our many divergent stories are merging. Jane, the strip club lady, and Eric Estrada meet up outside a seedy hotel for some bondage action. This lady really is busy. He cuffs her to the bed. You have the right to remain silent, lady, but make sure your tape recorder is running. Once he's got her all secured, he stops to make a phone call. That seems weird. Is he ordering a pizza or what? In a different scene, our psychologist stops to buy some gay porn. I'm guessing this is supposed to make us more suspicious of him. New York Ripper is not a deep psychological film, but I can totally see it suggesting that a gay man would hate women enough to gut them while quacking like a duck. Then, in a seemingly random interlude, this radio DJ takes to the airwaves to ask the Ripper to leave the ladies alone.
I want to ask that dude with 2 fingers missing on his right hand a big question. Man, why, baby? Please, leave the ladies alone.
But Jane here makes the 2-finger connection and is convinced she's sleeping next to the killer. Too bad for her, she's all tied up. This is like a kinkier, sleazier version of Gerald's Game. Jane makes her escape, but too bad for her, she didn't realize Eric Estrada is a red herring. She'd have been way safer to stay tied up because she runs into the real killer, who carves her up like a turkey. The next day, Williams interrogates Jane's husband and shares her sex tape with him. Dr. March then has to explain his open marriage to the cops. Williams is even more convinced that Eric Estrada is the killer.
Now know the Ripper's identity. Mika Scalenda.
This guy's maybe not the best detective on the force. The cops raid Estrada's place, which is filled with porn and drugs, and some interesting choices in smoking devices. Old Eric Estrada here is clearly not a vapor. Meanwhile, in our other movie, Peter and Faye are shacking up at his place for some exposition.
I thought you wanted to win some gold at Los Angeles. Eh, Miss National Champ?
Dr. Paul arrives to check up on Faye and brings us even more exposition.
Mathematician?
Physicist. I'm doing research on entropy at absolute zero.
Hilarious that this movie told us mostly nothing for an hour and now wants to explain everything in 3 minutes.
Sometimes I wonder how a girl like you, with an IQ of 182, could be such a dummy.
Ah, men, we're such charmers. Look at that expression. She hates his guts. Then this happens. Yeah, that ominous stinger has me convinced the stairs are the killer. After that, Paul tries to convince Williams that Eric Estrada might not be the Ripper.
But look at this Calenda character. He's a guy who lives just for sex. A 42nd Street gigolo.
Detective Morley Safer remains unconvinced.
Come on, Willie, we know he's our guy. Now, all the rest is malarkey shit, just for experts like you, not me, okay?
Home alone, Faye decides to do a little snooping. While she's doing that, Eric Estrada is breaking into the house. Is he coming back to finish what he started? Faye finds a room of dolls and a bunch of hospital papers. What's going on with Peter here? Realizing she's not alone, Faye hides under the bed. And somehow, this actually works. Estrada wannabe just wanders in and out. Or does he? It's a jump scare. Peter returns home just in the nick of time and scares low-rent Eric Estrada off. Now the manhunt intensifies. The cops are all over the red light district looking for old Two Fingers. Man, look at those movie marquees. I want to go to a double feature, A 60-Second Assassin and Revenge of the Bushido Blade, then hop next door to catch Final Exam. I sure am glad Disney ruined that part of New York City. Later, Williams is waiting for a call from the killer. If you think they're going to be able to trace him, guess again. Donald is too smart for that shit.
Tell the truth. You didn't really expect to find me in the boat, did you?
Son of a bitch.
See? I told you. And as an added bonus, our killer has Williams' favorite prostitute.
You're not even sure if the little whore is with me.
And now we get to New York Ripper's most infamous scene. Fulci loves his eye violence and really outdoes himself here. The razor blade to the eye gag is pretty gruesome, even if the effect looks dated. Props to Germano Natali for the way the eyeball moves during the slicing, though. That's impressive. Williams gets to the hooker's house, but he's too late. Paul takes this opportunity to get one more dig in at the police.
Checkmate. You think according to fixed patterns, like a cop.
He's smarmy, but he's right. Meanwhile, Eric Estrada is dead. He's been dead for over a week. Guess he's not the killer. Faye then wanders over to the hospital. Remember that hospital bill she found? She finds a young, sickly girl who's missing an arm and part of a leg in the room. Peter has a kid. From there, she returns to where she was nearly killed and finds the mark in the wall where the Ripper's knife missed. She's a better cop than Williams at this point. Then the movie goes out of its way to make us think Faye might be the killer.
She tends toward hallucinations. Quite often she has visions which to her seem reality.
I'm just a stupid cop, right?
Well, at least you admit it. Faye heads home and finds a butcher knife missing its tip. Is he using the good kitchen cutlery to kill people? Williams and Paul find the sick girl and connect the dots. The duck toy kinda gives it away. Then Peter gets a call from Donald Duck. Faye's on the phone too. Is she the killer? No, it's another fake out. Except you might be forgiven for not getting that it's a fake out because she stabs him repeatedly when he chases her to little Susie's room. They're going all out to convince you she's the killer. But then it's time for a jump scare, and Peter reveals he's the killer. And then Williams blows his face off. We then learn the daughter called Peter. Susie and her dad played a game where Peter talked like a duck. Time for more exposition.
In putting all the onus on the duck, he wasn't the one who was responsible. The duck became a kind of outside avenger for his daughter who would never become like other women.
And then, in the unhappiest of all endings, this poor little girl is now left all on her own. Well, that's cheerful. And that's New York Ripper. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the gore card. While New York Ripper isn't Fulci's most overtly gory or well-plotted film, it does demonstrate why the filmmaker was reverentially referred to as the godfather of gore. New York Ripper gives us 2 gutted women, a woman killed with a broken bottle, an eye and nipple bisected in gruesome detail, an exploding face, and some other odds and ends. Germano Natali once again provided the effects, which look a bit dated 40 years later, but are still pretty gag-worthy. It's because of this I'm giving New York Ripper 3 barf bags out of 5. This is some super splatter. Have you seen New York Ripper? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. And while you're down there, why not like this video and subscribe to the channel? I've been getting menacing calls from a guy who sounds like Alvin from the Chipmunks, and I'm putting together a task force to hunt him down, so I need your help. Oh, and while you're here, why not check out another video? You'll find a link to Pieces and some other sick flicks here on the screen. I'll see you over there. Don't leave me hanging. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.